in tubtum. But if you turn back, wa in tubtum, but if you turn back, you can have your capital sums. The Quran clearly states that if you do not turn back from riba, take notice of a war from Allah and His Rasul. Imagine, the Quran also mentions that intoxicants are prohibited. Gambling is prohibited. But nowhere does the Quran say that though consuming intoxicants is a major sin, it does not say that if you consume intoxicants, Allah and His Rasul will wage a war against you. Neither do you indulge. If you indulge in gambling, will Allah and His Rasul wage a war against you. But here specifically the Quran says, if you involve yourself in interest, Allah and His Rasul will wage a war against you. I want to know that which Muslim today in the world today can challenge Allah and His Rasul for a war. I want to know which Muslim, which human being today in this world can challenge Allah and His Rasul for a war. If you involve yourself in interest, in usury, you are challenging Allah and His Rasul for a war. And the next verse of Surah Baqarah, chapter number 2, verse number 280 continues that if the debtor is in difficulty, give him time to repay until it is easy for him to repay. But if you give it in deeds of charity, that is best for you. Regarding riba, the prohibition has also been mentioned in several hadiths. It is clearly mentioned in Sahih Bukhari, volume number 6, chapter number 48, 49, 50 and 51. That is hadith number 64, 65, 66 and 67. The first three hadiths, that's hadith number 64, 65 and 66 of volume 6 of Sahih Bukhari, says that Hazrat Aisha, may Allah be pleased with her, she narrated that after the last verses of Surah Baqarah was revealed to Allah's Messenger, may Allah be pleased with him, may peace be upon him, he went out and repeated that in the mosque and prohibited the trade of alcohol and liquor. And the last hadith, hadith number 67, says that the hadith was narrated by Ibn Abbas, may Allah be pleased with him, that the last verses of the Quran to be revealed were verses prohibiting riba. These 7 verses, that is from Surah Baqarah, chapter number 2, verse number 275 to verse number 281, were the last 7 verses of the Quran to be revealed. And immediately after the revelation, a few days later on, our beloved Prophet, may peace be upon him, he expired. That's the reason that the companions did not have much time to know the minute details of the implication of the Sharia. And it's mentioned in the commentary of Ibn Qasir that Hazrat Umar, may Allah be pleased with him, he said he had wished that the beloved Prophet had thrown more light on 3 things, one being riba and the other 2 being khilafah and kalala, that is how a property of a deceased person who has no relatives, how it should be divided, which is mentioned in Surah Nisa chapter 4 verse number 12. But from the hadiths you can come to know clearly, besides the mention in the Quran, it's also mentioned in the Sahih hadiths. If you read the index, that is the glossary of Sahih Bukhari in volume 1, under the topic of riba, it is said riba is of 2 types. Riba nasiya, that is loan given to a person for business and interest charged on that loan. And riba fadal, that is exchanging a superior quality of good in turn for a bigger quantity of inferior quality of good. irrespective it may be gold, silver, foodstuff, etc. And it says all types of riba are prohibited. The prohibition of riba is also clearly mentioned in Sahih Muslim in volume 3, in chapter number 623, hadith number 3845 to 3849. 5 hadiths which clearly mention in Sahih Muslim that riba is prohibited. Let us analyze what are the objectives of the Islamic economic order. Why does Quran promulgate an interest-free economy? There are basically 4 objectives for an interest-free economy promulgated by the Quran. The first is the economic well-being within the framework of the moral norms of Islam. The second is universal brotherhood and justice. The third is equitable distribution of wealth. And the fourth is individual freedom within the context of social welfare. Let's analyze the first objective, that is economic well-being within the framework of the moral norms of Islam. The Quran mentions in Surah Baqarah, chapter number 2, verse number 68, that eat and drink of the sustenance provided by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and create no mischief or evil on the face of the earth. A similar thing is repeated in Surah Baqarah, chapter number 2, verse number 160, which says that eat of the produces of the earth and follow not the footsteps of the evil one, for he is to you an avowed enemy. It's further mentioned Surah Jummah, chapter number 62, verse number 10, that after the prayer is finished, disperse ye in the land to seek the bounties of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. From these verses you can realize that the Quran encourages the people to enjoy the bounties of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to enjoy the good things which Allah has provided for you. It is mentioned in the hadith narrated in the authority of Al-Bayhaqi that the person who seeks the world lawfully to cater to the need of his family, to avoid begging and to be kind to his neighbor, will meet Allah with a shining face like the full moon. Begging has been discouraged in Islam. It's also mentioned in Sahih Bukhari, chapter number 2, volume number 2, page number 133, that the hand that is above is better than the hand that is below.